Al greatly admired his work ethic, called him one of the most disciplined, talented, and smart politicians he had ever known. Al thought John really reflected his constituency well. Al was also very proud of John's rise to the position as being U.S. Senate Majority Whip, a title that Al once had and cherished. Wyoming U.S. Senator John Barrasso.
In the 135 years that Wyoming has been a state, we've only had 22 U.S. senators. One stood head and shoulders above all the rest, literally as well as figuratively. That's Al Simpson. Case in point, when he got called back to do the Simpson Bowles Commission, we were walking into the Capitol building one day, and they have metal detectors. Kay Bailey Hutchinson and I were walking with Al, and there was a security guard that had been there many years. And you get to go around the metal detectors, and the guard pointed to Kay Bailey Hutchinson and said, "You're okay," pointed to me and said, "You're okay," saw Al and said, "Senator," and gave him a big hug. That is the larger-than-life personality that we're here to honor today. And it is with appreciation and admiration and respect that we're all here, and not just for Al, but to the entire magnificent Simpson family. But let me tell you about Al. He was a man of great courage, character, and credibility. He was the cowboy code before we had a cowboy code, living each day with courage, taking pride in his work, and doing what needs to be done. He was very proud of our history, he was confident in our values, and he took those values to Washington, and he forged there an indelible mark for our state and for the Senate. For so many years, half a century, he was our wagon master, he was our head cowboy, and he was Cowboy Joe all rolled into one. He was a warrior, he was a survivor, he was a fighter, and he was loyal. Loyal to people and loyal to the principles in which he believed. And Ben, you talk about his role with this university. You can say he was the head cheerleader. He was more than that. He was the head coach, he was the team captain, he was the starting quarterback. He did everything he could for this university. And Ann and Al traveled the world to always boast about Wyoming, and then they would bring the world back here to Wyoming, and Ben read the list. Mikhail Gorbachev was the final president of the former Soviet Union. Al brought him from Russia here to Wyoming, here to Laramie, here to this arena auditorium, here to this very stage, because he wanted Gorby to know the people of Wyoming. And of course, humor was his trademark. What I know as a senator is if you're a senator and you tell a joke, and this works for me, you get polite applause and a little laughter. But if you start by saying, as Al Simpson said, and you tell the exact same story, it brings down the house every time, every single time. It's what made him so effective. He said his father enjoyed the gift of lyrical profanity, and that Al said he inherited it from his dad. Al Simpson perfected it. But it was his humor, because the thing that I loved about it, and I talked about this, and Cynthia and I were on the floor of the Senate talking about him, it made you laugh, but it also made you think. And that's what made him so persuasive. And of course, he always credited Ann with all of his success. Over the years, he used to find her as classy, warm, welcoming, generous, gracious, magnificent. That woman from Grable. Married over 70 years. I remember one time he said, for Ann, that marriage must have been a religious experience. A living hell. You're a saint. We love you. We still have the Simpson law in our office. It's the Simpson policy, which means if anybody shows up from Wyoming, even if they don't have an appointment, they get to see the senator. And it happened just Wednesday when I got called out of a whip meeting because 6 8th graders showed up without an appointment from Newcastle High School. Because as Al said, it may be the only time they ever make a trip to Washington, D.C. The other thing that was so interesting are the people that he met throughout his life and the impact he had. So The day it was announced that Al had passed, and Cynthia and I were heading to the floor, the first senator to stop me to offer his condolences was at 6'8", wearing his Carhartts, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. Who'd have thought? He said Al inspired him because Fetterman was at Harvard when Al was there as a professor. 2 days later, I was in Jordan visiting our troops. We have 150 members of our Army National Guard there. Went to see the king. He said, you know, I love Wyoming, I love Cody. Please give the Simpson family my deepest condolences. I mean, that's what this is all about. There is one single word that really defines Al Simpson, and that word is integrity. And on the back of this program, it says, if you have integrity, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. That word was so hooked to Al Simpson that they actually, Wyoming Whiskey made a special blend of whiskey called the Integrity Blend of Whiskey. We should all have a shot tonight. They bottled it, put it in a bottle called Integrity. Al's face is on it as long as his signature and his name, and that's the way he'll always be remembered. Let me close with this. If you come to my office in Washington, you will see a picture of Al and Ronald Reagan, and they were in Cheyenne in 1982 for a political rally. You'll also see a picture of here on the university, the field house, John Kennedy, 1963. And you'll see a picture here at the University of Old Main, 1903. Teddy Roosevelt was here at the university. He was here as our keynote speaker for commencement. And when Reagan was up there, he spoke about the fact, he said the thing he loved about Wyoming and the Rocky Mountain West, he said, people here still believe the future is ours to shape. And Al Simpson shaped that future for more than half a century. John Kennedy was here as part of his conservation tour. And he said it's important that we maintain the living balance between man's actions and nature's reactions. Al Simpson maintained that balance. And Teddy Roosevelt was here. He talked about Wyoming virtues of strength and courage and undaunted and unwavering resolve. That's Al Simpson. When Teddy was leaving, they were going to ride a horse over the top, and they said, what kind of horse do you want? He said, I want a horse that is swift, spirited, and sure-footed. Sounds a lot like Al Simpson. He was our native son. He was our North Star. He was our rock star. And to the entire Simpson family, you have our deepest, deepest condolences. Thank you very much.